Okay, let's do a video. Um, One of our friends here asked a really good question. I'll kind of make this general because this could fit into a lot of people. I've met a lot of people here on YouTube that have this plan to get back to the land. You know, so maybe they're retiring or they're getting ready to, they've done their thing in the urban environment and now they're getting ready to quit that and go back to their land. You know, maybe get a ranch somewhere or go back to the family farm, something like that. And that's great. I'm all for that. But usually when they do that, at some point they're involved in livestock. And they'll ask, hey, you know, I'm thinking about getting, I'm thinking about getting a livestock. How should I start? And I'm just going to talk about one specific thing in this. I won't address the whole thing. I could answer that in other videos. But just one specific theme. If you're one of these people that at some point you see livestock in your future, keep this one theme in mind and you'll pretty much never get in trouble. And the theme is the land that you are on. I don't care if it's 1 acre or 1,000 acres. The land that you are on has to feed those animals 365 days a year. I'm talking about pasture. 365 days a year, both the bull or the father, the mothers, and the babies all the way to market. Okay? And someone will say, well, sure, I thought that's how they do it. Well, you don't want to be in a situation where, yeah, you have enough grass in the summertime to maintain your herd, but you have to bring in hay in the winter. Or maybe you have enough grass in the winter, but in the summer it dries out. You got to do this other thing. You don't want any outside inputs. You don't want to have to buy hay. You don't want to have to buy grain. You supply water, salt, and whatever your shelter setup is, if necessary. But you do not want to have to be feeding these animals. So if you had 1 acre or 1,000 acres, and you think, well, I'm sitting on about 20 acres worth of grass out here when we have water. Right now it's a dirt field. But let's say normally it would be pasture, be really thick right now. Well, I can run a lot of cows in the summer, but I got to feed them in the wintertime. Okay, so I've had over 50 head of cattle out here. And of course, it doesn't feed them that well here. I have to bring, even in the summertime, I got to bring feed in. But let's say in a perfect situation, I could easily run 25 head out here on my grass. Well, come wintertime, that grass is gone. It's all burned up in frost. So that means I now have to feed those cows. Bad system. Okay? So now instead of having 25 cows out there with that plush green grass in the summertime, if I closed half the place off and just had maybe 3 cows and a bull and their babies and operated on a half of the property, then come wintertime, they'll go back and eat the other half of the property, a small group like that. I could pretty much feed them 365 days a year. So you want to look at a place and say, okay, what's the maximum numbers I can operate here where I do not have to buy them feed? Okay, what can this place sustain? Okay, that's the theme you want to keep in mind. Now, a lot of people, they might have hay on their property. They make hay and put it away and all that kind of stuff. I did that for a while. I kind of enjoyed it, but it's a lot of work. And the thing with hay is, when it costs you to create it, even if it's your own hay on your own ground. Send the cow over there to eat that stuff. I'm not going to stack hay for that fool. Okay, move the cows around. But someone will say, gee, if you do seller's way, you can't have very many. Hey, that's good. But the ones you're going to have aren't going to cost you a dime. That's the place to be. So if you sell that out, I'm selling cows for high dollar right now because the price is really high. But guess what? I'm not making squat on them because I've been feeding them. See? So if just there was one particular aspect, whatever animal you choose to be with or whatever the case is, will the land you're going to, the land that you're on, will it sustain the father, the mother, and the baby all the way to market without you having to buy grain or hay? Now, someone says, well, my neighbor's got a hay operation. I get it from him. Yes, but now you have to depend on your neighbor. Okay, you say, well, the hay's cheap in my part of the country, and it's $2 a bale, so I can stack all that, also right, but now you have to depend on that. You have to depend that price of hay is going to stay and not going to budge. Our hay here can adjust $9 a bale whether it's 11 today and be $20 by the end of the month for a bale. Crazy stuff. Okay, out here it's kind of wild. But you do not want to have to depend. I don't care if they're giving hay away or if it's $1,000 a bale. If you don't need it, it don't affect you. See, your place has to be able to feed your animals. So if you try to keep yourself to those parameters, let's say you have 50 acres, and you say, I'm pretty sure all year long I could keep a bull and 4 females and their babies on this 50 acres. You know, fence it off, move them around, rotate them, this kind of thing. That's where you want to stay at. Then what happens is you find out that, okay, hey, you know, five cows, the bull, and the babies, I can do that 1 year. That works out pretty typical. But you have all this extra grass in the summertime. Then you could go buy feeder calves, bring them in the spring, then move them out in the fall before the grass dies or everything changes, and leave enough grass for your base herd, see? And that's how you could take advantage of those times where you have an abundance of feed on the ground, or you could rent part of your place out, get paid for someone else's cows. There's all kinds of stuff you could do. But you do not want to be paying your animals for what they should be doing naturally, okay? The worst thing ever happened for me personally in cattle, what ruins everything for my operation is this little thing they call a bale of hay. I hate hay. Absolutely, positively hate it. Because it gives us the ability to get more animals on the land than the land will provide for. And we kind of get into this little trap where, you know, I'll just go buy a bale of hay and that'll offset things, and I can run a few more cows and this kind of thing. And it's like a credit card. They get you, and then all of a sudden that thing starts to adjust in price and everything else. You've got to be able to maintain your base herd on whatever you can pull off the ground there. And so when you're a cattle rancher or a cattleman, you're really not a cattle rancher at all. You need to become a grass farmer. Okay? It's all about the grass. It's nothing to do with the cattle. You want the right kind of cattle that benefit from that grass, put weight on fast, no cause trouble, this kind of stuff. The cattle is just the mower. Okay, they're actually solar units. They're taking the sunlight through the plant, eating it, putting it on as protein product, and you're selling it. Okay, but it's not, you're not about the cattle. Guys that are about cattle and cattle production and weaning weights and all that, they spend a lot of money. Yeah, some of them make money, but it don't work out all that well. You want to think of the grass. How many cows do I need to maintain my grass to a certain position where I can operate all year long? And you also want to think not profit per cow, not profit per pound, but profit per acre. Goes back to the land. Got nothing to do with cattle. Cattle is secondary in this whole thing. So keep that in the theme. You want to be able, whatever land you're on has got to be able to sustain the livestock 365 days, take the babies to market. And it's going to be a lot smaller number than you may think. But it's better to err on having too few than have too many. Okay? Because as soon as you find yourself taking money out of your pocket to feed these things, you're depending on someone else. And some guys, you may have your own hay operation. Okay, but you got to buy diesel, you got to buy the equipment, all this kind of stuff. You're depending on something else now. You're depending that tractor's going to start, that hay rake's going to operate, and that you're going to be able to buy all this kind of stuff. Forget that crap. Let that stuff rust. That cow go out there and harvest that stuff the way he's supposed to. See, the hay thing's a trap, in my opinion. I'm still locked into it, but I'm trying to get out of the hay thing. But keep that in mind. The land has to feed them 365 days a year. You take no money out of your pocket. Once you purchase those cows and you're on your property, you don't want to take anything out of your pocket to feed those things. And someone might say, gosh, you got all this acreage. You only got 5 or 6 cows. That's right. I'm going to make nothing but money off this. I'm going to feed my family, have plenty of meat, some to sell at the end of the year. That cost me nothing. That's the position you want to be in. You want to have an abundance of land and a few cows. A few good cows with a bull. Anyhow, hopefully that makes sense. There's all kinds of other questions too. Feel free to ask those. This is just one aspect. The land's got to feed them, not you. Keep your money in your pocket. Anyhow, love you. Hopefully this was helpful.